What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web warrior fanatic, and we are back with another episode of the Web Warrior podcast here. And with me, I have one of the greatest minds in the Marvel Champions community. We have Villain Theory right here. Hello, Villain Theory.
Hey, happy to be back here, I guess. I think I was on an earlier episode, and feels like a good day to record something with you because I'm actually wearing Spider-Man t-shirt here. So feel like I'm kind of in the theme here, at least in terms of you, maybe not the topic today.
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm letting you down because I did not wear my Spider-Man shirt. Dang it, I didn't.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you guys see the title of this video, you guys probably know that it's a little bit of a different type of video than what we normally do. We're going to be reviewing the Fantastic Four movie that recently came out, I think last month, right? Yeah, in July. And afterwards, we're also going to be comparing that movie to the Superman 2025 movie that also came out last month as well. I am pretty hyped to talk about it. So Villain Theory, I think that we are two of the most avid MCU watchers in the Marvel Champs community. So yeah, we've both seen every single movie in MCU, right?
yeah, yeah. And I've seen most of them multiple times, so maybe not the latest ones, but yeah, it's got a pretty good knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. And have you also seen all of the Disney Plus shows?
Yes, but I've not seen half of What If and the second season of What If because I
Okay,
didn't really get into it, but I'm giving it another go. So I'm actually halfway through the first season now. But otherwise, all
okay.
the like live action stuff I have fully seen.
Nice. Yeah, I've also seen all the live action stuff. I've seen all the animated stuff. I'm gonna say that I've seen like both seasons of What If. I watched the first season, and season two, I don't really know what happened. I kind of like zoned out, like fell asleep, like so. But I did watch it, and I'm not watching it again. But yeah, so I generally know. But that won't be related to this video here. So okay, that actually kind of leads into the first question that I have from a channel member for us, and that's gonna be
Okay.
about our previous watch history of the two franchises and what are our expectations going into the Fantastic Four movie and the Superman movie. So we talked a little bit about the MCU. What about the DCEU, I guess? Because I know the Superman movie is for the DCU, right? So there's a new universe, and Superman is the first movie for that, for this reboot. Talk a little
Mhm.
bit about, I guess, your DCEU. Like, do you like the DC universe? Do you like the DCEU? Like, what are your feelings on that?
Yes, I'm actually not a big DC watcher at all. So I believe this is part of that. I lose track of what is what there now, but I have seen Man of Steel with the previous Superman. That's like the previous like Superman debut movie, right? With the
Okay.
previous actor. And I quite enjoyed it, but I didn't really much watch, I didn't really see much of the stuff that came after that too much. I wasn't that interested in that. But I do kind of like DC. I really liked I think the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, for example, and I watched a lot of the like earlier Batman, the original like Superman movies growing up. But I never really watched a lot of the other movies, more
Okay.
modern DC movies. I did watch the Batman, which I thought was really good actually. That's so I enjoyed that a lot. But kind of not like a super big DC movie fan otherwise before I went in to see Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I am. Maybe you're not a good guest for this because I think I'm kind of the same boat as you. So we may share the exact same type of like perspective. I've also seen like here and there with DC movies. I've seen the very first one, The Man of Steel, with Henry Cavill, and I watched like
Mhm.
just here and there. Like I thought Wonder Woman was very good.
Oh, I've seen
Most
that too. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, most of them I thought were not that good. You and I, we've talked about this before on the channel. We are both heavily Team Marvel. And I don't mind the DCU like being bad, but I definitely root for them to lose because I'm Team Marvel over here. So for this reboot for the James Gunn Superman movie, I don't know if you know, they actually have a season called Peacemaker with John Cena, and that's actually
I've heard
tied into this universe. Have you seen Peacemaker?
I haven't. It's like been on my list, but I've never got round to it. Have you seen it?
I have seen it because so I going into Super movie, the like ads and the trailers, it really got me. So I thought it looked very interesting. I was actually pretty excited to see it. The new Superman movie. So in anticipation for that, I watched the first season of Peacemaker and I also really liked it. So
Oh,
yeah, going into Superman, I had high expectations because of that. But and we talked a little bit about this before. I was hoping that people may not like this. I was hoping that it would flop. because I am so Team Marvel. I did not want this new reboot for the DC universe to be good. I guess even though I did like Peacemaker, and I do want to watch good movies, but I just really wanted Marvel. I wanted Fantastic Four to be all that. I wanted that to, I wanted Marvel to take over and keep doing the Marvel thing. So that's my feelings on that. How do you feel going into Superman and Fantastic Four?
I think that's a wild statement to say you hoped Superman would like fail and like Fantastic Four would. I think saying you hope Fantastic Four do better is like one thing, but hoping the new Superman movie wouldn't be good. But like you watched Peacemaker beforehand and like, you were kind of excited, right? So there's I'm getting mixed signals there. I don't know. I'm a Marvel guy. We've got the Marvel coin, so I'm hoping that you know Marvel does better. Obviously, I'm kind of hoping that I'm a fan of that, and I want the thing I like to do really well. But I kind of want DC to be almost as good, and maybe sometimes a bit better, just to keep Marvel, sharp, because they've dominated the cinema space. I feel like for a long time, and I don't know. I feel like it's healthy to have good competition, if that makes sense. So I don't really hope any of them fail. I hope both of them push each other to new heights. But ultimately, maybe Marvel just do that a little bit better for my personal taste.
Yeah, that is a much more nice and peaceful answer than my answer there. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the perspective of like, Iron Man 1, like in the very beginning, Marvel was kind of like the underdog. They had like a superhero that wasn't really a big name, and then like they did really well. So maybe under pressure again, like with DC, hope maybe popping off, hopefully popping off for you, me not hopefully popping off, maybe Marvel can, do better with that competition and with a little bit less hype, like being more of the underdog. So, yeah, that is our both of our perspectives going into these two movies. So there's gonna be heavy spoilers in the discussion. If you guys have not seen either movie and you guys don't want to see spoilers, please click off the video. We're gonna be talking about the ending and all that stuff. And then let's go over Fantastic Four first. So you can start us off if you don't want to like review your opinion. I can also start us off. What do you? Well, actually, wait. Before we get into that, I do want to ask you: are you a movie critic? Like, how good was your experience criticizing movies? Like, are you a experienced movie critic? Like, do you know? Do you have like good, structure, like stuff like that, or no?
I'm an experienced critic of everything because like I have like this grumpy like opinion. So like I have to, I'm known among like a couple of my friends like for being like the critical one. They'll go in and be like, oh, that was pretty good, and I'll go in and be like, well, I like this, but this other thing, all the kind of detail. I'm kind of a little bit hard to please in that regard. But I do. I'll have like a list of like 20 critiques, and I'll be like, still enjoyed it. But I wouldn't say like I'm a professional critic, but definitely I can, I feel like everything, if anyone's seen my channel about Marvel Champions, I just tend to be a little bit detail oriented, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's gonna be some good discussion here. I feel like I'm also that kind of person in the group where like people are like, dude, like just enjoy the movie. And like I did enjoy the movie. Like I think it's a really good movie, like for example, right? But like there's a little like these nitpicks that I would have changed, but it's still a good movie. Like I would still watch it again. Like I feel like a lot of times whenever I'm talking to people about them, like the stuff that I would change about the movies, it's like I don't think I would have done a better job like making the movie. It's just like and I still think the movie's good overall. It's just like these little things like would have made it better for me personally. And I do want to preface like a lot of my things, they're so arbitrary to me. Like it's stuff that I don't really hear anyone else talk about. So it's kind of like off the chain in terms of like what norm people value and like what makes a movie good and versus what I value. Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't think I've seen a lot of like reviews and other people talk about it like in a big way. So I'm not sure if my opinion is going to be crazy or not.
Yeah.
And obviously, what I did say talk about like criticizing, and there's also a lot of things to praise and things I really like as well.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what I'm going to say for this. It's kind of I haven't gone into this with a bunch of notes or anything. We're just going to kind of talk about it and let's see how I feel.
Okay. So what did you like about Fantastic Four? Like what is like your favorite parts about that movie?
Favorite part, I'm gonna go for something that might be like kind of niche. I'm not sure, but when I watch a Marvel movie these days, it feels like there's 50,000 heroes, and about half of them might turn up in the movie, which I think takes away from some of like the specialness of the character being a superhero. It kind of feels like, oh, there's a ton of people like this super or better. Like, are they really super if there's like tons of super? And the answer is kind of yes, still, but in the Fantastic Four, in that setting that the movie is in, the Fantastic Four are really like the main and only super people. It's not like they can call on the Avengers to back up in this movie or anything like that. They kind of set apart as the group there. And for me, that adds quite a lot to it, that I don't get from, to contrast this, with the Superman movie. It is very quickly established, like basically in the opening of the movie, there's a whole bunch of text on screen. There are a bunch of like meta humans. There are super people everywhere, and this is kind of quote unquote normal. And I think that takes away something, from like the mythos, like the kind of like a quality of being special, that can set heroes apart. So they've gone in like very different directions for those two movies, which I think is kind of fun. And there are benefits to like setting up that there's lots of this. It kind of helped establish the world as being like, and people's reactions and stuff. But I did like the way the Fantastic Four did it, and like it was up to these guys, and if these guys couldn't solve it, nobody else could. So that was one part that I really liked.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that we've kind of been seeing too many collabs and like too many different things in like so many of the newer movies, especially like with the multiverse stuff. I feel like I mean, you already jumped into a little bit of the comparisons for Superman and Fantastic Four. That may be a spoiler for your true opinions, for like the two movies. But yeah, I mean, I agree that I really liked that. I actually really enjoyed that they were in a different universe, like the Fantastic Four, and it was like kind of like a
Hmm.
standalone, like they're just by themselves there. And
Hmm.
there's gonna be a way to tie them into the MCU, but it's cool that we saw like their whole origin story because we don't really get that anymore nowadays, right? Like kind of like, and it's not really origin story because it like glossed through like all the beginning stuff with like how they got
Hmm.
the powers, but it is origin story in terms of like we're meeting these characters by themselves, and we're not like
Yeah.
meeting like I don't know, like for the Thunderbolts, we met these characters through other characters, right? They didn't really get like one
Hmm.
true like origin type of story, and this feels like it really like just a Fantastic Four, which I did enjoy too. Did you like the retro like vibe, like with all the TVs and like that world that they built over there?
Yeah, I really like kind of like a retro vibe, like anything that's like a little bit different. It kind of caught my interest. So I actually like that significantly. I feel like there's probably better comparisons, but I got a bit of like just a little bit of like the Fallout kind of like impression. I don't know if you've watched or played any of those games,
Yeah, no,
or
I
the
haven't.
or the TV show, but they're slightly different. That's a bit more post-apocalyptic, but there's something about like the older style, that just I don't know, it's kind of compelling. And to go back to like the separate world, and it's just them kind of point. Talk about the MCU and a lot of crossovers. I think you can compare it to like the old, like let's say Tobey Maguire, or even the Amazing Spider-Man movies that came afterwards. It was basically just Spider-Man there, whereas in the MCU, Spider-Man's kind of brought in by Iron Man. Like he's kind of like Iron Man's almost like looking after him, kind of thing,
Yeah.
um, to some degree, to a little degree. And I just feel like the Fantastic Four here was like the complete very opposite of that, which I really liked.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit of like a side tangent, but for those Spider movies with Tom Holland, like the first two, I really
Hmm.
felt like that it was like an origin story for like a sidekick instead of like an origin story for like a true like superhero with his own mantle. But I mean, I do feel like that No Way Home, like that trilogy of Spider-Man movies that really like set the tone of like it's one origin story across three movies versus like Iron Man 1 and like Thor 1 being their origin stories. It really felt like it took three for that for Peter Parker, the Tom Holland Peter Parker to like become his own guy. But I forgot what we're talking about. I kind of went on a side tangent there. Oh, back to Fantastic Four. Um,
Your last question was about the old school kind of like aesthetic of FF.
yeah, I really like that too. For me, it was my favorite thing about Fantastic Four was I love the family dynamic, and
Hmm.
I just love that. I don't know if they said too many things like explicitly, but I feel like the acting and just like you could just feel that like they love each other and that they're one big family, right? I know that that was something that they really tried to push, in this movie, but I really felt that I felt that like, even though Ben Grimm and John, I mean Johnny Storm is the brother of Sue Storm, but like I feel like normally in that type of dynamic, maybe they're like not as close, like they're not really the immediate part of the family, but it really felt like they still like share that love and like the way that they loved the kid, like it just felt like they're like true uncles. It felt like I really loved the dynamic and like how the characters really show that they love each other. um I think they could have had more there was a little bit. I think they could have had more internal conflict. But overall, I like the dynamics between the four main characters.
Yeah, I like the dynamics a lot as well. Even in the comics, I started reading a few Fantastic Four comics. The interaction between Johnny Storm and the Thing, Ben. I've really liked that in the comics, and I liked it in the show and like the movie, and like it's different between the comics and the movie to some degree, but in some way it isn't. Like the winding him up about what time it is. That thing just I don't know. I really found that really fun. Just like
Yeah.
little detail like that. I really liked, and I really liked. I think even like Johnny and Reed have some fun interactions, including about like the suits and stuff. Just little fun things. So I feel like part of a family interaction for me, like there's got to be some kind of banter and some back and forth, and I felt like they had like that kind of going on. But then like they'll all sit down at the dinner table together, and they took the time to show that. So yeah, I think I definitely like that part of it as well.
Yeah, I think what you're saying with the like what time is it? It's clobbering time. Those little like little tiny like Joseph's little details were so good. Like I feel like that was like all across. Like I think Marvel just does a great job of like what are those called? Like Easter egg type of stuff. Like just little stuff that like
Mm.
gives like homage to like little different little things like in the comics too, but like also like in their interactions. Yeah, I really liked all those little details. There's something that I want to say about the Johnny Storm. Yeah, I don't remember. Okay, but yeah, I agree that that was very cool. Overall, if you were to give this movie like a 1 out of 10 rating, what would you give this
Ooh.
movie? And feel free to defend it with like other stuff that you want to say too.
Ooh. Well, I feel like movies have like a very high potential, right? So, like, I don't even know if I can name a movie that I'd give a 10 out of 10. Maybe there's a couple that come close, but for me, I'm seeing this somewhere between like a 7 and an 8. Like,
Okay.
good, but like sizable room to improve. So, if I can be like annoying and break the scale, I'll go for like 7.5, like a half point. But that for me is quite strong because I'm quite critical.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I thought you would be very critical for it. So I don't know if mine is too critical. I
Okay.
I personally give the movie a 6.5. I
Okay.
think I mean for my scale, I think 5 is kind of like an average movie. And if you're anything better than a 5, then you're a good movie. If you're under a 5, then like you're what I would consider like a bad movie. And for me, Fantastic Four was definitely a good movie. So it definitely goes up there. But there were some parts that I felt like were kind of boring, like especially near the beginning with like the exposition and all that stuff. And I felt myself actually taken out of the movie during like parts. And for me, that's what makes it like a 7 or above is if I'm fully immersed in the movie the entire time. I don't know about you. I don't know about your criteria, but for me, if I'm immersed and I'm enjoying the movie the entire time, then it's a at least a 7. But if there's parts where I'm like, oh man, like I'm kind of bored right now, like I wish to go on to the next thing, then the automatic drops it down. But this is like near as high possible to that as possible. Yeah, so for me, it's a 6.5. I think it's still a good movie. I will watch it again. Um, it's and to be fair for me, I think most Marvel movies. I don't. This is gonna be a hot take. I think most Marvel movies are above a 5, which is why like I just love Marvel. I love the MCU. Like even though a lot of movies that people think are bad, I think that a lot of them are still better than an average movie, which is all that I'm asking for. Like I just want a good experience. You know what I mean? So like I feel like the bar for Marvel is set so high that like when movies aren't like a 10 or a 9, like people are like, oh, it's a bad movie, but it's like I still would I'm not gonna name any movies right now, maybe later, but I'll still rather watch like X bad Marvel movie than like this random other movie that's like, in my opinion, way more boring and like way worse. Yeah, don't come in the comments.
Okay, that's really interesting. For me, I don't think I don't think I ever was like taken out of the movie when I watched Fantastic Four. There's like a couple of little critiques I have. There's one bit later on where I like rolled my eyes slightly. But for the most part, I think I was like in it the whole movie, and I think it was slower paced in a way, or less action packed than a lot of Marvel movies. But I kind of think that suited the Fantastic Four. And like I feel like I'm really nerdy saying this, but we've actually been rewatching Star Trek recently, Next Generation, like old school, like 90s, 80s, kind of like, and it kind of gave me a similar impression to that, where like,
Mm.
there's a lot more talking, there's a lot more like discovering, and it's not just big fight scene to big fight scene, like a thriller. There are obviously some really big action scenes in it, but it definitely kind of feels like it takes more time. I would say more than the average Marvel film. Maybe there's more of a drama like genre kind of element to it, like especially like what you said about like the family thing, as opposed to being like a high stakes action thriller the whole way.
Yeah, I think maybe I needed a little bit more of the action. Like near the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I think like for me it was the beginning that was a little bit slow for me, and like the exposition of like I think it was like they're showing like on TV like a recap of all the Fantastic Four's like journey and all that stuff. I kind of wish like it would have been just like we saw it in real time and like they just kind of skip like faster. Because I felt like the fact that like so I like the detail that it was like on TV and like we were watching like a recap like as if we were in that universe. I like that, but for some reason part of that like I don't know, maybe it made me feel more of like okay it's just a summary versus like if we actually saw them and like their feelings and their reactions like in those like moments like real time. I feel I would have been more a little bit more immersed and like a little more like feeling like the stakes of that. I guess I didn't really feel the stakes, which you aren't supposed to, but like it was just I don't know. That part was just a little bit slow for me, and I was like, like like they need to get into like the action, I guess, or like what's the problem, or like what is the movie going to be about, I guess.
Yeah, I mean those points all ring true to me. Like I've only seen the movie once. I'm trying to like think back to it, and maybe the start of it could have been a little snappier or something like that. I really want to compare it to Superman. I don't know if you're
No,
up for a tiny bit of that.
yeah,
The start of Superman was very different. So the start of Superman, I really didn't like what happened almost immediately. In that a bunch of text pops up on the screen. It's like it almost feels like I need to do my homework before I watch the movie. Like they couldn't show any, I would at least maybe have preferred they show me like some bits on TV of all this happening and people's reactions, as opposed to literally just slap some paragraphs on the screen. You know what I mean? I feel like they could have told that in the movie rather than make you read it and then start the movie. Something to that degree. Like I didn't like that in Superman. But then what that did allow is to go straight kind of more into the action in Superman. So the intro is somehow there, both slower and worse exposition for me, but then also more exciting because they kind of like, I don't know, for me, just putting a bunch of text on the screen is like almost the worst way to do it. But then that did let us get into it faster. So
yeah.
I'm not sure. There's pros and cons, and I'm not sure which one I prefer. I guess I did prefer Fantastic Four. Because until you mentioned it, nothing stood out to me. Whereas this is like stood out to me like a sore thumb for Superman.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, and I agree. I don't like. I think they're trying to like do like the Star Wars thing, where it's like all that text like showing that. I didn't like that for Superman either, and it felt weird because I don't even really remember too much of that block of text. I don't know if you remember like what it was saying, but I feel like it was saying something like 3 years since Superman's been doing Superman stuff, and like it's been
Yeah.
3 days and 3 months and like like everything's going in threes, and I was like. I know that like gives homage something, which I don't remember exactly what it was. But like for me, it was like it doesn't matter that it's three for everything. Like to me, like I'm not like going that deep into the timeline, making sure that okay everything fits. Like it's three this, three this, three this, and like I don't exactly remember, but I think in the Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, that newer one that came out, um,
Mm.
in that one, I believe it was like Batman's first year doing Batman stuff, right? But I don't think that we actually got anything like any text saying that. It was just like it was explained like throughout the movie that was his first year, right? And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the Super movie could have just done the same thing. Like I could be wrong because I don't just like you. I watched both movies only one time, so I don't remember. But I don't even think the block of text was like needed. I feel like we could have like just kind of like picked up and just been like okay, and like maybe we could have people saying like we hear like casters being like broadcasters being like okay Superman's never lost a battle before. This is his first loss, and like that could be like how we knew that he's always undefeated or something like that versus that block of text.
Yeah, I definitely think there was maybe like a better way to handle it. That bit, but I mean, I never made like a multi-million-dollar movie or anything, so it's just my random opinion. But yeah, maybe both movies were not like the intros are not the best parts to either movie. Um, yeah, the Fantastic Four bit didn't really bother me, so I think like the very beginning, I guess I give that the edge.
Yeah. So you said that didn't really bother you. What really bothered you for Fantastic Four then?
This is gonna jump like right to really spoilery stuff, like toward the end of the movie, maybe. But I'll go for a more minor point that occurred to me when like you invited me on. Like, what am I going to talk about? I was like, oh yeah, this thing. Um, I thought all the characters in Fantastic Four, like the main characters in the Fantastic Four, got to shine really well. Reed, Sue, Johnny, but I thought Ben didn't really get to shine as much. He kind of just felt like he was there because he's there, like in the comics. And I feel like if you removed him from the movie, you still basically have the same movie, because I don't think he has any like truly key part like someone else couldn't have like potentially like substituted in for, kind of thing. Like he flies the ship. I'm sure if they, just slightly rejigged it, like someone else could have flied the ship, something like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I like there's an interaction he has like with some kids in a car that I really liked. But after that, just felt like he was going to these people and like having these conversations just to kind of like pad out his part in the movie. It didn't really feel like necessary.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of tricky in a movie where like you've got like a super genius and then the other two are like more powerful or dynamic, and he's just a strong guy and there's all these crazy like space things going on. And I feel like maybe this particular story didn't kind of like play to his strengths. Maybe I did like always like individually. Maybe I liked all his parts in the movie. I felt like it was quite watchable. I was a bit worried about his design when I saw the trailer. Like I didn't like resonate with me immediately, and I think part of this is because I was playing Marvel Rivals a lot then, and they like thing had just come out. And it looked very different, and that one looks more like the comic book one. But I actually kind of liked it here. I thought it worked in the movie when I actually watched the movie, and so there's like a compliment there that I think I felt like this design actually worked on the screen, but I felt like he was kind of significantly the least valuable member
Yeah.
of the team, and some of his parts that were more him in the movie, didn't thrill me. I don't think they had to be there.
Yeah, I totally agree with your points. I think that most people would agree. Like, of the four, well, first I want to get into the design really quick. I love this design for Ben Grimm. I people usually don't like the stuff like this. I love CG, like the CGI designs for the new Marvel characters. We've seen all the movies, so you remember in the end of Marvels when we saw like the new Beast design. It's like the same actor that played Beast from like the 2000s. I loved how he looked. I think his name's like the guy from Frasier. But like that CGI look for Beast, I was hype for that. Like he looked so good with like the lab coat and everything. And like seeing the thing, like even in trailers, I was a big fan of the design. Most people aren't. Like I saw a lot of people like didn't like the CGI. They're like, oh, we need to go back to like I don't know, what's it called, props or like whatever. I'm a big CGI fan. I think it looks really good. I don't see like the little details of the CGI to make it like look fake or something. But for me, I'm just a huge fan of that. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree that of the four, they all had like a problem to deal with, right? Like Reed Richards had to solve this big thing of how to defeat Galactus. Sue Storm, she had to like deal with the emotional stuff and like get the people, to like go on board and like keep the group together. Like the people that hated them, right? Like the all the regular people were like, you guys are being selfish because like the baby, like just give it up. And Sue had to like that was like her problem, really like protect the baby, I guess. I feel like it's her main thing. Jordan Storm had to like learn a new language, right? And then Ben, like he didn't really have a thing, right? Like yeah, he had no main purpose in the movie other than like you said, drive the ship. And then and then obviously, like, and I agree with you, like that was like the little details I'm talking about. Like whenever he was playing with the kids in the beginning and holding up the car, I love those details. Like I feel like those little details were so good, and that was like all throughout the movie. So like all that stuff was so good. It's just Ben himself, like you could just taken him out. And can you explain to me, because I actually don't know what's up with the girl that like Ben was like kind of talking to? Like I have no clue like who she is supposed to be or like what their relationship is. Like I don't know if it like went deeper in the movie and if it's like I just missed it.
I think in the comics he has like there is a character, and I feel like this was a substitute character for that character, but they didn't go into it as much in this movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, any like super Fantastic Four fans, but yeah, I don't know. It felt like it was meant to be more significant than it came across to me.
Yeah, it seemed like, I mean, they could have honestly just been friends. Like I didn't like I don't know if something romantic going on in the movie like between the two of them, but I don't, yeah, I don't know how, yeah, it just feel like we just saw her face and it just kept flashing like in signs where like they showed everyone on Earth's like reaction stuff, they just show her. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm worried too." And it'd be like skip to like the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've got a lot more to add on to that, but like I feel like you could have cut like a lot of those parts out, and like you still have the same movie, but
Yeah.
very little change. I think it's tricky in some way because like obviously, in this movie, Reed and Sue, I believe they're married, like they're together at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
and Johnny's like related to Sue, So like obviously the Reed Richards and Sue are like the core kind of like of the movie in a way, but then Johnny's flying around, he's doing the language, he's got a lot of really cool components as well around that. And then there's the thing, and the thing is,
Yeah.
I don't know, it just didn't engage me as much.
Yeah, I think words like hard to, I guess, do that. I feel like the most compelling thing that like we feel for the thing is like how he doesn't like how he looks. You know what I mean? Like I think anyone would be like
Yeah,
freaked out by that. But I guess at this point in this movie, he's already like come to terms of like I'm okay with like how I look. But maybe it could like still come up a little bit. I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know. That could be the only thing that I could see with that. I don't know if you remember the old Fantastic Four movie with Michael Chiklis.
oh, so I've actually not seen the old
Oh
Fantastic Four movies.
man.
They're like
Okay.
the only things I haven't seen from like the big Marvel movies before the MCU kind of thing, or like outside the MCU
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I'm gonna need the Marvel
Um,
coin back.
no. When you can recite to me every episode of What If season 2, you can do that.
Okay, so do you care for spoilers for that? I definitely don't want to spoil anything if you're gonna like if you're planning on watching those movies.
No, you can say it. Like you can say about the thing and stuff.
Yeah, so for a lot of people that have seen that those old movies as well, so I really like the actor that plays the thing. He's like in another show that I like love, so I'm a big fan of that guy. But Michael Chiklis, his thing, I didn't like how he looked though. Like the design looked kind of like silly to me. But there's like a scene where so like he's engaged to someone, and then whenever he becomes a thing, she like sees him. She's like, or maybe he's married. I don't remember. He's either engaged or married, right? And then she sees him for the first time because he's afraid to like talk to her. And then she just like sees him in the crowd and she like puts the ring down like on the floor. And she just walks away because he's like he looks like a freak, quote unquote, right? So then he's like so sad because he's been so nervous talking to her and he never talked to her because he was so nervous about how he looked. And he went over there and then he like tried to pick up the ring, but his fingers are like all stubby. So on the
Oh
concrete floor, he's
no.
unable to pick it up. And he goes and he can't pick up the ring. And then like Reed like walks up and like gets the ring for him and like puts it in his hand. And like stuff like that was a big emotional thing for Ben to like overcome and like accept himself.
Yeah.
And like obviously I understand that for this Fantastic Four movie, they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to do the beginning of the Fantastic Four. They already had the powers and they're like used to the powers. So I understand that they didn't want to do it that way. But like something like that is crazy. Like I don't know, it hit like an emotional beat for me, I guess. Even though I think that
Mhm.
and I do want to clarify, I think that this movie is way better than that Fantastic Four. I think this is the best Fantastic Four movie that I've ever seen. So yeah.
I've had people say the same, and my partner she's actually seen all the old Fantastic Four movies that I have on, which is like crazy to us. But yeah, she said she liked this one more as well. But I can't comment on that specifically. But I love that detail you're saying about the ring there. Like I could really imagine that. So yeah, definitely some moments like that could be fun too.
So I'm gonna jump into something near the end of the movie that I really didn't like, and maybe
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's the same thing as you. Maybe it's not, but this is like probably isn't my no. I don't know if it's my. It's definitely not my biggest complaint about the movie. I think the biggest is just the slow pace of like in the beginning. I think that this is just a minor gripe for me, but I was a little confused by it, and I didn't really like the impression that it gave. So that is the final fight when the Fantastic Four face off against Galactus. So
Hmm.
my impression is that the Fantastic Four is really smart and it comes with strategies. And Galactus, to me, should be obviously stronger. And I think that there's different scalings of how I think that's a whole different conversation of like how strong Galactus is. I know that like if he just eats a planet, he's more strong. If it's been a while, then like he gets weaker. He can like change his size, all this stuff. So like he has a lot of. I think that it's a little bit inconsistent how powerful he is. And I think that depending on what universe you're watching, like depending on this movie, they can dictate. Galactus is very powerful. Like this is the strongest Galactus ever, or like this is the weakest Galactus, right? I think that you can kind of
Hmm.
like it's just like how the Superman movie, James Gunn said that this would be the weakest Superman you've ever seen. Like he's like the most toned down version of him. So obviously they can write however they want for Galactus, but I felt that to be this like universal threat, he he should be displayed to be very powerful, in my opinion. And for
Hmm.
me, I understand like the whole thing with like okay, Sue is like I think Sue is the strongest of the Fantastic Four, and I
Yeah.
think that obviously as a mother trying to protect her child, you've heard stories of like moms being able to lift like 1,000-pound cars like over like kids' heads or like whatever to save them, but like I didn't like that. It essentially came down to like all their plans failed, and it essentially came down to like Sue Storm overpowering and pushing Galactus into the hole, and like that was how that resolved. I wish that they came up
Yep.
with a strategy to outsmart Galactus, even when their initial plan failed. Like I wish that it was like, you know, just like the team is like, okay, we're gonna do this, this, and that, and then, like that would like defeat him, versus just like a straight up like, you know, what's it called, like a tug of war, but the opposite, like a push war match.
Hmm. Yeah, that's also one of the things I had as well. I remember we were driving back, and I like said to my partner, and I was like, she asked me like what I like, and like, and I was like, I didn't really like that Sue Storm basically solos Galactus, like the final bit, like, and I get that she's probably like never dug that deep into her powers before, and like basically kind of cost her everything, but like it just felt like, oh, just pick this guy up and put him in the hole.
Yeah.
It was really kind of just like that. Or there's a bit more of a struggle. But it made Galactus definitely seem, I think it made him seem more insignificant as opposed to making like Sue seem amazing. That's how it kind of came across to me. And I definitely had some like expectations before I saw the movie, and obviously that could color my perception in an unfair way. I am aware of that. But to me, Galactus is like this like ultra mega level super threat. And I hadn't read as much on him as I have now, but like it still seems that way. He's like this big threat. And I was really expecting him to like really like challenge them. He was smaller than I thought, but I have since learned that he can change his size, and he's often smaller than that in the comics. So I was wrong in that expectation. But I just don't know. He just picked up and he's being carried, and he's like grabbing at a building.
Yeah.
Can he make himself bigger? Can he do anything, or is he? If some force just picks him up, is he just helpless? Can he shoot? Can he shoot anything? Can he do anything? I don't know. But apparently not was the answer. So yeah, I wasn't super keen on that. I did like kind of the way the solution was set up to Galactus. They were going to basically relocate the Earth originally. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was what was going to happen, and they were going to end up in a different universe, maybe one with more characters we'd recognize or something. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And they kind of subverted that, but in an interesting kind of way. And they were like adapting. I was like, this is excellent. And then it's just like pick him up and slam dunk him for the thing. Not exactly, but close enough that that's one of the two big points near the end that I didn't like.
Yeah, I totally agree that I love the initial solution of like we're gonna move the Earth, somewhere else to a different universe, and he can't get us anymore. And they had to change their plan, to like we're gonna move Galactus somewhere else without a ship, then he can't get us. Like I really like that. Like it seemed like an obvious type of answer, I guess. Well, not obvious, but like in terms of like because we saw Reed messing with the egg like the entire movie, so it's like it like came back, right? So like stuff like that I really liked. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I actually had a similar experience driving back from theater with my wife. And I was like, I really didn't like this part. Like, Sue was just too powerful. Like, she just like pushed him down, whatever. And then, but to be fair, my wife did tell me she died for that. Like, she had to like exert everything, all her strength to like actually die for that. And I was like, all right, that's fair. Yeah, like she did have to like essentially use so much power that it caused her to like die in order to, push him. But I don't know, it still was. And my wife also told me, and the thing ran through the building. Like, if he had that building, Galactus wouldn't have fell down. He was holding on to that building. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Galactus was falling down and he grabbed onto like this tall building. But then he ran through all the pillars to make the building crumble so that Galactus would fall.
But that bit for the thing kind of felt like forced as something to put in there for the thing to do. Because what if you run through those pillars and it wasn't quite enough to tip the thing? Or Galactus just grabbed like a different building?
Yeah.
Or like, his other hand grabbed it. Like, it just felt like really convenient that he could knock it down in that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should I talk about the other thing I didn't like at the end of the movie?
Yeah, sure.
So Marvel is pretty infamous for, oops, character's dead. Oops, they're back alive again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like if a character's going to make the ultimate sacrifice, and then it's like undone, I feel like it takes a lot away from that. Do you know what I'm saying?
You wanted Sue Storm to stay dead.
I didn't want her to stay dead, but I want a character's sacrifice to be more meaningful.
Yeah.
Because man, as soon as that scene was happening, and I saw the baby, and I was like, oh no, there's going to be a magic baby thing, and there totally was. And I didn't like the magic baby thing.
Yeah.
Is my ultimate point here.
That's fair. I think so like the thing with that is I guess for my expectations, I think I already knew the baby was going to like I knew that she wouldn't die. So when she died, I was like, oh, she's dead. There's no way she's dead. Because like we know that Franklin Richards is like one of the most powerful beings, in the Marvel universe. So maybe it's like my expectations going in of like just knowing that like he's gonna do something, and like I guess because of that I wasn't as like offended that like she like killed herself and then like he brought her back to life.
Hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't a big thing with me, but I can definitely see. I don't know if you ever read One Piece, the anime
Right.
manga. Okay, yeah, a lot of characters will sacrifice themselves and then die, but they actually are still alive. And like that's one of the biggest
Okay.
complaints for that series. Yeah, so I totally agree. Like I know in the comics that happens a lot, but like no one can stay dead. Is keeping them
Yeah.
back. Yeah, and I also am not a fan of that. I think for me, the reason why I kind of give it a pass here is because like it's just one movie. Like it was like it's not really like over a course like what it's not like Iron Man, like Tony Stark, dying, in the Avengers movie, and then like they bring that same character back to life. That would feel like really like man, like his sacrifice was like pointless. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a shame we'll never see Robert Downey Jr. again.
So man, okay, to everyone that's watching this, I'm a huge cope artist. Okay, I love coping. Okay, so I am hyped for Robert Downey Jr. as Doomsday. I'm excited to see this movie. I can't wait to see what they do with the character. I think that this is kind of a bigger side tangent, but like basically, I think that it's interesting because the Tony Stark character he created Ultron, right? Because like
Hmm.
because he wanted to create like that protection for the Earth, and like I feel like it's interesting because maybe this is like an unhinged, like not Tony Stark, but like the same type of like personality, but just like not being in the like I feel like they're very similar, like what they may do with Doctor Doom. I think that that's interesting, and I don't know. I'm okay with it. So it sounds like you are dreading what's gonna happen with
I
Doomsday.
was kind of just trying to make a bit of a joke there. Really, I'm curious to see how they do it. I think it could be done well. I think it could maybe more easily be done not well. So we have to see what they do.
Yeah,
So I'm reserving judgment until I actually see something on that front. But just on the point of like characters coming back to life, like I kind of understand in the comics to some degree, they want to keep telling stories about these characters, but they want meaningful things to happen. So like
yeah,
they might die in one storyline, but they'll bring them back later. I'm like, okay, I can kind of deal with that. It feels like the MCU is kind of like it's like this one evolving story, and it feels like we're not gonna get a Chris Evans, Captain America movie again. That's done now. Um, I don't see him starring in like Captain America 5. So I don't know. I feel like the ability to just, maybe not commonly, but just just easily bring back someone back to life here. I didn't love it, but it's just something like Magic Baby being able to do. I don't know. It just felt very. I don't know. Didn't feel good to me.
yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely a valid point. I think just for me, maybe because of that, like having bias of like already kind of like assuming that he would do that. I think that's what kind of like made it not that bad for me. But I totally see your point. Yeah,
I didn't think they would kill her off here. So like I think just kind of having that takes away from the moment, right?
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I don't know. It just felt I don't know almost too easy and a
yeah,
bit like this kid can't even like talk yet, but they can do this like precise. I don't know if precise act is the
yeah.
right word, but
I mean,
like they understood enough and they could do all that. I don't know. I don't
yeah, he loves his
know.
mom, dude. His mom is like lifeless. He loves his mom.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad she is back alive. I mean, I like the character in the movie, and I
yeah,
look forward to seeing her. Presumably have a very decent
yeah,
role in the next, the big Avengers, the big group movie. As much as anyone can when there's like
yeah,
500 characters on screen.
yeah,
But yeah, so I don't dislike that she's still alive. Just to be
yeah, yeah,
clear.
yeah. Maybe you just wish that she never like exert herself to like kill herself, basically, in the movie.
I just wish the solution was a bit more elegant than Magic Baby appears and fixes everything.
Yeah,
I feel like those babies just a slightly more. Um, I don't know. It just feels like they kind of had a super easy. Oh look, everything's fixed now. Kind of solution to the big
yeah,
sacrifice at the end.
yeah,
I don't know. Didn't like it.
yeah. So speaking on like your expectations for a movie and like what you thought would happen ending, one thing that I was super shocked by, and I want to give a shout out to Norris, one of my buddies, who was telling me before the movie, he was like, Fantastic Four is going to be so boring because we know the ending because of the end of Thunderbolts. You saw their ship coming into the MCU. And I was like, ah, yeah, like maybe, right? Because like we know that's going to happen. So the whole movie, I was expecting Galactus to win. And I thought maybe he would
Um,
devour the universe and then the Fantastic Four would have to flee and like kind of like messed up, but they will leave everyone on Earth, like in their universe to like die to Galactus and then come over to the MCU. So I was kind of waiting for that the entire movie, but it never happened because they won, they beat Galactus, and we didn't see like why they would try to leave that universe. Did you also have that expectation, or were you like fresh movie like I forgot about the Thunderbolts, uh, ending credit scene?
I was aware of the Thunderbolts credit scene. I actually really liked the Thunderbolts movies. A quick shout out to that. I thought that was really good. I liked a lot of those characters
Yeah.
and everything. And I saw the end credit scene, and I've got a friend as well who watches these. He goes by Razor Online. He's actually been on my channel once, and he likes like a lot of the sort of theories online about what's going to happen next. And sometimes he'll mention the odd thing. And I think he mentioned something about this ship. He said it's not the same ship as in the trailer. What's going on with this ship? But in the movie, I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, and it didn't really bother me in the slightest. I think they definitely had a part of me that was like, maybe Galactus will win. I don't know exactly, but I wasn't like counting on that. I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think that bothered me too much. I don't know what expectations I did have going into it. I think I expected Galactus to, the first part when he's introduced, he felt sufficiently like powerful. We should probably talk about Silver Surfer before we end this at some point, because I think I want to talk about that. But when he got to Earth, he kind of just walked through some water. He walked through like the city a bit, something like that. I feel like he just wasn't the big threat that I was maybe
Yeah.
expecting. So yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean Galactus to me also felt underwhelming as a villain.
Mhm.
And I understand, like there's reasons why he could be like it's been a long time since he's devoured a planet, so like he's the weakest he's ever been. Like I get it, but I think that I just want to see the first, introduction of Galactus in MCU to be like super powerful, super scary, like a Thanos, like something like that, right? Like I think I just needed more of that for his first introduction. And now it feels like he's not that big of a deal. Like that's just kind of the impression, even though like, he obviously he's made to be a big deal. It just feels like that.
Yeah, I think that was a villain that was meant to be like a really big deal and had been built up that way. But then I watched Quantumania and some big ants really solved that quite easily. And I feel like I've got a similar. I feel like I've got a similar energy
Yeah.
here. If do I want to watch this big sort of famous, well-known villain at like their weakest point, or like a credible, really
Yeah.
strong threat point? I mean, it was a credible threat in the movie,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It just felt like you said,
Yeah.
Sue kind of just she just tried really hard, and that kind of ended up solving it.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talk about Silver Surfer?
Yeah, I know before the movie there was a lot of talk about Silver Surfer, and it's a bit like controversial which one they used. And I know some people love to pick apart the CGI, but kind of like you, I watched the whole movie. Nothing stood out to me, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've watched the She-Hulk TV series, and there was some rough moments that I noticed casually, not intending, not like really like picking apart frame by frame. I just seeing the stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of didn't look great. But I watched this one, and I didn't have a single moment of that for any of the characters, for anything here. So I thought that was fun. I thought it was kind of interesting. I was confused as to how Johnny Storm could like decipher this whole language with like one phrase. To me, I felt like that was almost magic. I don't know if that's quite possible. Just based on what I know of like real life lost languages, because we do have some phrases, and I don't think we know what all of them mean. But I could be wrong. I'm not a linguist.
Yeah.
I'm not a historical linguist. But Silver Surfer overall, I thought wasn't quite sure what to expect going into the movie, but I actually think I liked the whole thing, everything about it. Actually, maybe I am more critical of this film, and I need to bump down my rating. I didn't like at the end, like Galactus is about to like reemerge, and then out of nowhere, having not done anything the whole rest of this time, Silver Surfer like zooms down and like finishes like pushing them, him through the portal. Like, couldn't she have helped out throughout the whole rest of this if she was going to do this? She was just like in the right place at the right time when Johnny was about to make an awesome sacrifice. Like, it might not have been as good for like the whole MCU.
Yeah.
But like, if they're going to do like a one Fantastic Four movie, like that would have been a really meaningful sacrifice for like Johnny there. Reminds me of something from the eighth Star Wars episode. That didn't quite happen, but like I don't know, this moment of self-sacrifice I thought was kind of like undercut by this character that had been absent from the entire rest of this whole struggle, just coming in at the very end. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it's because Johnny was going to make a sacrifice. She was like moved to do it. I don't remember exactly how the exact thing played out. I saw this movie once, like
Yeah.
several weeks ago.
But like, where was she? Was she
But
like watching him? Like, she was watching the whole fight, and then the moment he was okay, she's like, now I'm going in. Like, where was
that's
she
what it
the whole
felt
time?
like.
Yeah.
I feel like that, and then Magic Baby. I feel like something that was not relevant for the rest of the struggle comes in and saves it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, yeah, I don't know. It's just little nitpicks there, but like, I do want to say though, I've got like these few critiques. I think we've hit them all now. Like, I feel like the thing was slightly irrelevant. Magic Baby, Sue, saving every like soloing character, it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
And then the last minute thing with like Silver Surfer swooping in. Like overall, that movie, I really enjoyed it. I liked all the actors in all the roles.
Yeah.
I thought they were really good. I thought they each very distinct. I thought each character got to show off their personality a lot and be distinct. Had like their own good challenges, except maybe the thing in the terms of the challenges part. I liked so much of the movie. I think the pacing and like the slightly less action kind of worked for me. Like overall, I just like the kind of tone of the way they approach the challenges and stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of good things, and I think overall, maybe I bumped my rating down to a 7.
Okay.
But overall, I still really enjoyed it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a couple of small points, which I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought the Silver Surfer was very hype in the trailers when she was like, I herald, like his beginning, like I herald, like all that. I really liked that. I liked her tone, like the way that she spoke and everything. I agree with you that I felt that it was a little bit. I mean, I think that's just your classic Silver Surfer story, where like she's with Galactus and then she turns on him and then she's gonna help the Fantastic Four. I think that they kind of just hit the beats there. And it definitely felt like they were just trying to hit those beats of like her turning at the end. For your point about Johnny Storm learning the language, I mean, I'm kind of okay with that. I definitely think that in real life it wouldn't work like that. But I think that with Reed's technology, just coping, being like, okay, like he has some sort of stuff to like help Johnny like analyze everything, even though it's like way back then. Reed's so smart, like whatever Johnny used, that equipment could like easily just like decode it, if he gets enough, if he like works hard enough. So I'm fine with that, just coping. And yeah, so one last thing I did want to talk about, and this is actually something that it drops no points for me, right? So it's not a concern of mine at all, and it's not something that I look for in a movie, but I've seen people talk about it, and it seems to be a big concern for a lot of people. So this is like one of those things that for me it's like arbitrary, where it's like I'm okay if this doesn't happen, I still enjoy the movie, and that is so Silver Surfer. It's not about Silver Surfer, but she went through a character arc, right? In the beginning of the movie, she was like Team Galactus, I have to do this. And in the end, she's like, you know what? Like these people, their lives matter. Like it's just what happened to me. I don't want to keep on, causing this cycle for like all these different planets. The big complaint that I see for Fantastic Four, and once again, I do want to clarify, I literally don't care about this. It didn't drop 1 point for me for like my rating of Fantastic Four, is that none of the 4 main characters went through any character arcs. So like the way they feel and the way that they are, their personality and like their beliefs in the beginning of the movie is exact same as in the end of the movie. Like they're essentially like perfect and like good both ways, which I actually agree with that I don't think that any of them have really changed. They're kind of like maybe not static, but like that's kind of the only word I can think of. Like they're like not, they didn't grow. Like Reed is still a smart guy. Like he was a smart guy. He cared about the family before. He still cares after. It's not like he didn't care and now he cares, right? Same with Sue. Same with I said Stu. Same with Johnny. Same with the Thing, right? Like no one like overcame something. They all had problems to deal with and they solved their problems, but they didn't like change. It didn't change who they were, I guess. Like, what are your thoughts on that? On like not having a character arc?
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically like they didn't. I never quite thought about that. And a lot of times in movies that does grip me. I'm like, well, the character started like this way and it just ended this way. But normally I think when that occurs to me, it's like they solve all their problems like relatively easily. I know this movie gets hated on a lot, and there will be defenders for it. Some of the criticism might be unjust. But to take the first Captain Marvel movie as an example, she's basically awesome throughout that movie, and she wins like every fight in that movie. And she has like maybe memories back, maybe more like understanding of who she is back by the end. But I don't know. For that one, like, I guess for me, that is an example of like, I didn't really feel like compelled by a struggle. Whereas in this one, I felt like there was a massive struggle. Like, I feel like they were really worried.
Yeah,
There are points of some real peril, like near the beginning, like especially like the spaceship and like the
yeah,
space section, and then like the threat of Galactus felt very believable. It felt like there was this like impossible threat. The world was doomed, and like the way they represented that with like the media on the screen and stuff, and like felt like the characters were like really struggling with this. And like, did they make the sacrifice? Did they not? It felt like I love the way that was when they like wrestled, and there was like definitely some struggles in like Sue and Reed's relationship because of that, and like
yeah,
the whole. I feel like there were some really credible problems that they really wrestled with that gave the characters a lot of substance. So yeah, Reed was smart at the beginning and trying to do the right thing, and he ends the same way. But I feel like he went through enough trials and struggles, and I was got to see him overcame it. That I think I actually felt satisfied by that. Um, and like in the space section, Sue calls out to Johnny to like kill her, like kill the server,
yeah.
right? And that was like crazy. Um,
Protect your nephew.
but and like yeah, and Johnny was like quite shocked by that. I feel like it wasn't like the same thing, but at the end he's ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for his
Yeah,
kid. Like he's ready to go like further for the child and family. I feel like then they maybe showed at the start, not in like a big way. I'm sure he still would have like probably like
yeah,
sacrificed himself. But it definitely felt like I saw more come out of the characters as the movie
yeah,
went on. So I don't think it drops a point for me either. I mean, maybe it could have added points on per se
yeah,
if
yeah.
something particular happened. But yeah, I'm kind of neutral on that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that I asked you that because I don't know what to say to that. I think that you described it like like that's I'm gonna steal that answer. Like the characters still like went through enough struggle, and we saw them like really being like stressed out and stuff. I think that for me like that's enough of a problem to where like they don't necessarily need that character arc and like change as a character because like it was still very stressful. Like yeah, I think that that's a good answer for that. That actually reminds me. You actually remind me of one. Okay, this would be the last thing about Fantastic Four. I think we talked about it before. We said it's gonna be like 15 minutes. I think it's way over. So yeah, okay. You said something about like the issue with like everyone on Earth hating the Fantastic Four because like they don't want to sacrifice their child, right? Okay, this could be a bias. I saw a review like on YouTube, and it was before the Fantastic Four came out. I think like 2 or 3 weeks before that, and then it was just based like speculative based on the trailers. And the person was saying that they really liked the idea or the problem, the dilemma of like the people on Earth hating the Fantastic Four, turning against them because they wouldn't sacrifice their child to save the entire planet. And then this person said one thing that stuck with me during the movie, and they said this is such an interesting idea. I hope that it's not solved with one speech. And then when I watched the movie and then Sue came out and then she started talking, I was like, please. Like, so it could just be a bias from me, but I do feel like it was a little bit like her speech is going to convince all people to be like, you know what? Yes, don't sacrifice your one child to save all of us. We're going to help you now. We're completely on board. We're 100% of the world, France, all these different countries are now going to help the Fantastic Four because we see, that was a really good speech.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I have strong feelings either way on that. I haven't seen like that YouTube video, etc., on that. Um, I did feel like a lot of people, especially being very scared, their response is very understandable to everything. Um, and I think I was surprised that I think the Fantastic Four's plan and like speech was taken to so well.
Yeah. All right. That's kind of all we got on Fantastic Four. So you dropped your rating down to a 7. I'm a
I drove it down to a 7, but I still feel like 7's a good rating for me.
yeah. I'm still at 6.5. I think that 6.5 to me is a good rating. I don't know if other people agree that that's a good rating. I think if you're above 5, like that's solid for me. Because there's so many movies that I think are so bad that like I can't even finish watching, right? Like a movie I can't finish watching is like a 1 or 2. So like I don't know, like yeah. Okay, do you have any more thoughts for Fantastic Four before? I think Superman is gonna be a lot more short, just because I remember less about
Yeah.
Superman as well, and also we're Team Marvel here, so
I want to say something like I think the best movies in the MCU, the character at the beginning isn't significantly different from the character at the end. I feel like that's true for like several of them. Like Captain, I feel like Captain America at the start of his second and third movie, his morals haven't really changed by the end of it. Like maybe by the end of the second movie, he's a bit more skeptical of like government, a bit more distrusting. But like he's still majority the same
Yeah.
character. I think that goes for several of like the movies. So like
I
I don't think that's sort of occurred to me in such a big way, especially
yeah.
because a lot of these characters' journeys take place over several movies. So maybe we'll see it more
Yeah.
come out later. That was just a thought I had about like MCU in general based on what we said.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think Fantastic Four. I feel like we've been really critical, but I think we've mostly focused on the things we've been critical of.
Yeah.
I still really enjoyed it. I still think it's a really good movie, and I like the way a lot of the stuff was done. So I kind of want to end
Yeah.
on that positive note. I think a 7 for me. It's interesting you said like 5 is like kind of like very average. I feel like 5 is not used commonly as average. But I think for me, I'll stick with 7 like either way. Like it was, I've seen better, and I will see better again. But it was solid. I would like happily rewatch it.
Yeah.
And I think if it was below like a 7, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. So for you, it's just like ending above 7 is like rewatchable, but low 7 is I'm
Hmm.
only watching this once. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. Something interesting is I tried to avoid all the trailers going into the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four because I know I was going to watch it, so I wanted to go in as fresh as possible. And do you know what ruined it for me? Was going to see Superman, and they played the trailer in
Oh.
front of me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I also saw the Fantastic Four trailer during Superman. It made me so much more hyped for Fantastic Four, like with the like seeing in theaters that trailer and like they're playing that music, singing Fantastic
Yeah,
Four, like that got me really hyped in the Superman theater. Um,
yeah. But yeah, let's talk about Superman if you're ready.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like I've got a few thoughts for this, but definitely not as expansive as Fantastic Four.
yeah. You kept jumping into like Superman territory. Okay, do you want to start us off here?
Yeah, sure. I'm like when you started at the beginning, I wasn't sure what format this was. Like, we're going to talk about both throughout, or we're going to focus one or the other. I just felt like that opening was really interesting to contrast them. Where, like you said, like it showed the Fantastic Four on TV for these scenes. Then Superman, just a bunch of text on the
Yeah,
screen, and then it jumps into the movie. Um, but they were very, very different movies. Like I said, with Fantastic Four being like the only real like super people in their world, but in Superman, it was set out part of that opening text, which I remember bits of, but it did say that metahumans were like everywhere.
yeah,
Like it was like a very well known thing. It was not unusual to see a superpowered being flying around, Metropolis or presumably Gotham, etc. So I think that was kind of interesting. It immediately I felt throughout kind of the entire movie, um, like Superman was like less special. And I think at certain points they did have like these other people like fill in for him. Like even though it's like quite funny ways, like near the end with like Guy Gardner, I think.
yeah,
Like do you remember the line where he's just like Superman couldn't make it, you got an upgrade, something like that.
yeah, yeah,
I thought that was really funny. I really liked that. But it does kind of like that is kind of my like feeling on the world is that like oh there's like a bunch of whole different super people. There's like whole corporate sponsored super groups, and if someone didn't sort of save this, maybe someone else would. And I did feel like the big threats in the movie were like so credible enough that like I felt like it involved earned Superman's involvement. Like he did need to be involved, and he did feel special. Um, but it's definitely a very different world, and it didn't feel like wow, it's like Superman. This is so amazing. It's kind of, I guess, kind of like you said. I didn't realize it said this, but if the director said this is the least sort of powerful version of Superman on screen, I definitely kind of felt that way. I felt like he couldn't solve everything. He couldn't fly around the world and turn time back or anything.
yeah,
He's a lot more of a grounded version.
yeah,
I'll say overall though, I really liked the movie. I think I overall really liked all the actors. So there's a lot of really strong points here for me, and I really like Nathan Fillion, who was I think
yeah,
Guy Gardner. So that was a big highlight for me. I love a character as well that you can like love to hate or be like annoyed by, but like
yeah.
kind of like enjoy the experience of that. I thought that was actually done really, really well. So there's a few of my opening thoughts. How do you feel about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, let me try to think. What was the first thing that you said? So like, I mean, I thought Superman was a very good movie as well. Definitely a movie that I
Mhm.
would rewatch. I had a lot of fun in the theaters watching it. It definitely like, you know, went over my expectations of like, wanting it to not be good, but kind of being hyped and thinking it would be good. So it was good. Oh, for Superman being weak, okay, like I completely agree with you on that. And I think that so I'm fine because he wants to make the Superman like the weakest Superman like that we've ever seen like on screen, right? I do feel like that it's a little bit of a cheap way out because I think what makes writing Superman in stories so difficult is because he's so powerful, like being like basically untouchable, and then still writing a good story to like give him a good like villain and like a problem to like defeat. I think that
Mhm.
making him weaker just makes everything easier, right? It makes writing for him easier, which I understand why you want that. And I'm fine with him being weaker. Like it's not a big issue for me that you know he is weaker. I just do feel like it was like a little bit of a cop out type of like you know thing of like okay, well he's too difficult if we just make him super powerful like what he normally is. Let's like scale him down. And it's crazy because I think that the villain Lex Luthor, he is a really good villain in that movie for a undefeatable Superman. Like even if Superman was undefeatable, that's still like the perfect foil, like the perfect villain for him to face off. Where like he can't just kill Lex, you know what I mean? Like I think still a really fun and good villain for Superman if he was a strong Superman. So I'm not even sure why he had to do that to make Superman feel so weak, like how Galactus felt weak. You know, I don't know why. Like I'm normally okay with the weaker feeling characters. Like I'm okay if they made, you know, Peter Parker like a weaker version or like Iron Man like a weaker version. But like I feel like for Superman, like his thing is the strongest. Like that's a part of his personality, right? Like Peter Parker's
Mhm.
like personality isn't like I'm the strongest. He's about like responsibility, right? So like,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, Superman, I feel like he should have like we should have seen that he's the almighty. And then for Galactus, we all should have seen like, you know, he is universal, like he's that strong. So not a big issue for me. I still really like the movie, but that's a little bit of a thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that hadn't really occurred to me. He Superman was still portrayed as the like strongest, like meta-human, like super character in the world kind of thing. He was still kind of portrayed that way, but yeah, definitely probably did, you know, like you say, make it easier to write. Like some of the villains like did give him a bit of a hard time. He got roughed up quite a bit in this
Yeah.
movie. I didn't mind. I didn't mind that though. Um, you know, one thing I don't understand, you know, he got like all these like he was basically like, being suffocated at one point, right? Like he was like covered,
That was crazy.
and he like flew up really high, and flew down really low, and then he seemed completely fine afterwards. Like, am I missing something, or like how did that like fix all the stuff like choking him out?
So okay, here's more of a Kobe answer for me, like how you know Johnny Storm, you know, is this technology like Reed's technology? It helped him like dissect the language, whatever. Okay, I think that it's something with the atmosphere, like and like gravity, and like just like the pressure, because like I think that she still the engineer still feels like pain and stuff, right? Like being you know in that environment. So maybe like she
Mhm.
can't breathe like high enough like without oxygen, and then whenever you're back down to earth, like the impact, like you know it was like oof, like it hurts, and then she's like now I am because she was unconscious I think after he like you know flew back down, right? I don't remember
Yeah.
entirely, yeah. So I think maybe just that it was just too much like imagine like if you were to fly up without like a mask, you know, just your body, someone drags you up and they drop you down. Like engineer, like, you know, she's still human, I guess, even though she's like a metahuman, like can do all this freaky
Mhm.
stuff and change her body. I That's my like copy answer. I don't know if it satisfies you, but that's what it would like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really know exactly how her like power like nanite stuff, whatever it is, like works. But like to me, if like I'm choking on something and I fly up and slam into the ground, I'm probably still choking on something. Like if it's like filling, like
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't just like one object or like I don't know,
Yeah.
but maybe it's something like
Yeah.
that.
I think for me, I almost feel like she has to consciously like do it. Like she's not just like I'm like in you know in his like esophagus like doing all this stuff. Like I have to actually conscious like you know be in there. And I think that because she couldn't do that anymore, like she just came out of him. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let us know in the comments
Yeah.
if you're on YouTube or you know. Yeah. I don't know what else we wanted to discuss from the movie. I feel like I'm trying to think about the ending. I feel like I was happier with the ending of this one than Fantastic Four. I think this
Yeah.
had a better ending.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Um, but I think the overall experience was something about the Fantastic Four was more compelling overall to make just like a comparison there. But I did prefer kind of the whole ending with Superman. To say a criticism though, to completely pivot away randomly, I wasn't a big fan of Crypto being so crazy.
Okay. Yeah. I I really like Crypto. I thought that he was a good point in the movie. Yeah, I can. I personally had no problems with him. I think I can see your side, I guess, but I think so. James Gunn also maybe because I watched like a lot of things like surround the movie, but he said that like he based Crypto off his own dog. Well, like he came in like it like ripped up like all the stuff or something like that. So like I think that he's just like projecting a lot of like you know cute stuff about animals, but we still love them even though like they're kind of like a menace. Yeah, I'm personally fine with that. On the ending, what you're talking about. I agree. I think Superman had a better ending. I really liked. I like movies where you end the movie with like an amazing fight scene where the character like defeats a villain that they lost to before. So like that like very
Mhm.
common trope that hits like beats for me, and like I really enjoy that. So like the fact that he defeated Ultraman the second time around because he saw the little orbs, you know what I mean, and then he told Crypto to attack the balls, and Crypto took them out. So then he was able to take out Ultraman because Ultraman wasn't giving orders anymore. I like that he
Mhm.
needed a strategic component to take him out. It wasn't just like suddenly now at the end of the movie, I'm more powerful than I was in the beginning. I'm just gonna take you out by brute force. I don't like when that happens. I like whenever like it's like something like unhinged or something like that, or like a strategy type of thing is how the character like defeats it out. And I like it's the moments in Superman for me felt more heroic. I guess that makes sense because Superman, whenever he was like spinning and shooting lasers like by spinning, whenever he like punched through the glass like save that baby, like those like little moments like really hit beats for me, and like and that's like stuff I want to see in a superhero movie. That's why I love the superhero genre. That's why I'm still with it even though this is kind of a low point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some really good points. Although when he did do the spinning with the like the heat like laser eyes, I was shocked. Like I feel like he doesn't like kill people. That's kind of like one of his things or something. But I'm like, how did they survive? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't it feels like they really like? I don't know. But anyway, it was a cool moment. I feel like that movie had a lot of James Gunnisms, if I can make that phrase.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like I feel like from Guardians and like stuff. I really kind of recognize just like there was certain like something like cuts to slow mo action here, or like a little phrase there, something about it. But I did like, I love the Guardians movies. I don't, we haven't covered this, but Guardians of the Galaxy One, it's either my favorite or like second favorite of all the MCU movies. I
Oh
really
wow.
like it. I really really like it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the worst thing in the world for me. That I recognized some like little like choices and like bits there that felt like kind of familiar. And I do quickly want to shout out Mr. Terrific was like the standout character in that movie that really surprised me. He's like my favorite character there.
Oh
So I really really liked him.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Guardians 1 is a really good movie. For me, it's probably like 8, 9, or 10, like something really high. Um, what were we just talking about Superman? Oh, I did want to mention another thing about Superman that you mentioned. There's a lot of characters in there, like a lot of superheroes versus Fantastic Four is more like, just them.
Hmm.
I so watching the trailers, that made me like happy because the movie looked messy. I was like, this is gonna be a messy movie. Like, there's too many people, there's too many characters. Like, there's Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl, and then like the villains. There's so many different villains. Like, usually I want to see one or two villains. You know what I mean? I don't want to see like I think there's like a big roster of villains there. But actually watching the movie, I thought that it was done very well. Like, I think it's so hard to do a movie with that many characters that like have names and like still make it feel like it's about Superman. I still felt like it was a Superman movie, and I liked the introduction to all these characters. I actually really liked like how James Gunn incorporated all of those characters in the universe, and I thought that was done very well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think back to Guardians. I mean, Guardians, you've got like the whole roster. Then you had like Mantis, Nebula, and then you got like the villains and stuff. Um, I'm trying to think how many characters actually are in Superman practically, because I feel like the main three like super characters, like on the good side at least, whatever degree, you got Superman, Mister Terrific, and Guy Gardner. I feel like those were like the main ones.
Yeah,
Green Lantern, and then there's I feel like Hawk Girl had a bit less of a role, although still like substantial.
yeah,
But it didn't feel like they like had. And each time one of them did have a major moment, the other characters weren't having major moments. So I think it kind of like flowed quite well there, maybe.
yeah,
And like on the villain side, there was Lex, and then there was like the Engineer and Ultraman, but they didn't have like huge like, character arcs throughout it. It wasn't too much focus. Like Lex was the main focus, so I felt like maybe by not over prioritizing them, like it really was to me mostly focused on like Superman on that side and Lex. Like I just feel like it did come together well as well. I think you make a good point.
yeah. And I want to give huge shout outs to Lois Lane. This is like one of the best like Lois Lanes I've ever seen. I love how like she has no powers. She is so involved in the story, and she's essential to like Superman like winning the whole thing at the end. And like they somehow did that. Like I just feel like normally she's like just kind of like pushed off. I was like, okay, Superman has a protector. Like she's not really doing anything. She's just like a liability. I loved like her role in this movie. I don't even know if Superman had to protect her. I think Mr. Terrific was the one like helping her out. Like yeah, I feel yeah like I love the Lois Lane in this movie. She was done very well.
Yeah. I don't know about the Superman mythos maybe quite as much as you and stuff, but I thought it was I thought she was good and quite compelling. One thing I did see online is that apparently James Gunn said the biggest risk he took with this movie or something like a 12-minute like dialogue scene or something. Um, I think that was like kind of toward the middle or something.
Okay.
When they were talking in like the apartment, I think, and like there's just a fight going on in the background. Do you remember?
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I had like the whole thing, and I thought that was actually really good. I like the way like she challenged him as well about like maybe. Hmm, I'm having my thoughts are maybe changing the more I remember about these movies. Like I did like,
Yeah.
but what I liked is that Superman's kind of being called up for like interfering in like foreign affairs, all these like serious things. And he's like, oh, I can justify that. It's like, oh, the media just like out to get me kind of thing. It's like, oh, I'll give you an interview. And like she did like a really serious like interview. Like she really dug into it, right?
Yeah.
And he lost it. And I thought that was done like really, really well. That might be one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Oh, okay.
It felt very compelling, like a very serious like look at a
Yeah.
like I've been reading a book recently. Can I get it and show it off? I've been reading the Marvels, to go back to the Marvels, Marvel Universe, and this book is kind of set from the perspective of like a journalist in a world of superheroes, right? And you see their perspective, and it kind of just really resonated with me in a similar way. So
Yeah.
I want to shout that out as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned that scene. I forgot about that scene. That scene is a big scene. Yeah. So both scenes I think are very cool. The like kissing scene with like Guy Gardner like fighting, in the background. That one's fun. I want to talk about the first one where she's grilling him as an interviewer. So, oh man, okay. I have mixed feelings on that scene. So I love
Okay.
Lois in that scene. I think she was great. I think she was very professional. Until near the end, where they started like talking about like their actual like personal feelings and stuff like that. But like, in the beginning, I
Mhm.
think that she was great. I like what they did with the characters there. I like that they had that scene there. I've seen some reviews, like online about Superman, and that people are saying that he's like a baby, like he's like too whiny for Superman or whatever. I'm fine with that. I don't mind like his personality, how he's more jokey versus like a more serious like stoic Superman. I'm completely okay with that. But that scene where Lois was like interviewing him, I did not like a lot of the things that he did in that scene. I didn't mind the beginning where like he like lost it, but like or sorry, in the end where he lost it. But in the beginning, he was so rude and disrespectful. He was like interrupting her like as she was speaking, and he seemed like out of nowhere to like go from 0 to 100. Like I wish it was done in a way where like I could relate to the character, like being so upset, like because I couldn't relate. I was like, "Why are you so upset at Lois right now?" She already told you this is an interview. Like we're recording, like we're doing a serious. Like he seemed like he thought it was a joke or something like the entire time. Like I don't know. I wish that there was more of a reason for him to get so like caught off guard. That's a Marvel Champions card, and like like yeah, I just wish there was more. I feel like he was just not Superman at all. Like he just seemed like this like raging. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I kind of felt like I don't remember it scene by scene, like line by line. It was a few weeks ago, but like I remember when I watched it, like I kind of got the impression like Superman was kind of like used to getting things his way, like being the big hero everyone adores and not being challenged, and he didn't really know how to handle being challenged, and he thought Lois being Lois wasn't gonna like really press him in a difficult way.
Hmm.
And I don't think he was ready or able to handle that, or maybe even put in that situation much before. That was kind of my takeaway. I felt like I was really surprised by the way they took it, but I found it really interesting and I kind of liked it. So maybe I'm an outlier here, but
Yeah.
that's kind of my impression.
No, I mean, I actually think that the way you described it, I think makes sense to me. Yeah, I think that he just maybe wasn't so ready for Lois, like to be like that, because maybe he thought like they would still be like not professional, like kind of just chilling and like talking, even though like she kind of like said that. Maybe like he thought maybe she was joking about like, okay, I'm gonna actually interview you. Yeah, I think you describing it makes me feel better about it, I guess.
Okay, nice. I'm helping the cope and the explanations and
Well, what you're helping is Superman. You're hyping up Superman more. So do we want? Okay, I'm gonna get into my thoughts on Superman versus Fantastic Four.
Mhm.
Um, man, I'm gonna lose my Marvel coin. So if you guys did not guess, I actually felt that Superman was a better movie than Fantastic Four,
Oh,
and it's so close to me. They're both really good movies, but Superman just hit more the beats of what I personally liked. And yeah, I would have given Superman a 7 out of 10. I thought that like I was entertained the entire time. I never like there was not a moment where I was like bored. I liked there's we talk about like our issues with the movie, but I thought that overall it was very good. And yeah, it has a slight edge. I think that they're so different. Like Fantastic Four and Superman, they're like wildly different
Mm.
movies, so it's hard to compare. But if you put them both on 10 on a 1 out of 10 scale, like Superman would have the edge for me personally.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I kind of expected you to say this in a way, but like to me coming into this, I thought Fantastic Four and Superman, like I said this to my partner as well, like we've talked and like I've said that like really close movies, like I find it really hard to differentiate them in terms of how much I like them. Very different. Neither of them are perfect, but they have like a lot of highs and like a couple of lows. But talking to you here about it, and I'm like, I got all these criticisms I brought up for Fantastic Four, and I don't, like how high the highs are hitting more than Superman. And Superman, there's more I probably could have gone into, but like actually, Superman really resonated with me a lot. I think it stuck with me a lot, and I think if I had to give them like a score on like an equal scale, I might give them both a 7. But if I had to like tiebreak it, I think I'm swayed towards Superman right now. Like genuinely,
That's
um,
crazy.
I like that you cheered for that. You definitely need to give back your Marvel coin.
Ah, I
But like it is like so close for me.
yeah.
But it's like so different. But yeah, Superman has a lot of really like. I feel like I've got more memorable moments. I feel like there's more hype. Like I feel maybe it does have more high points that really resonate with me. Um, and yeah, so I guess that's my surprise. I came into this video not expecting to say that. I thought you would make me like like judge between them, and I expected to pick Fantastic Four. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy to me.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. I mean, into this video, I already knew that you liked Fantastic Four more. So I am shocked that you like. I mean, they're still like neck and neck, and for me, they're also neck and neck. But I'm shocked that you like swayed over to Superman. That's crazy. To like on the record, the reason why I cheered is because you agree with me. I mean, I wanted Fantastic Four to be better, but just in my opinion, Fantastic Four is not as good as Superman. So like obviously like everyone thinks that their opinion is the correct one, so I think that my opinion is the correct one, but I wanted Fantastic Four to be better. um and yeah, and also all my friends and my wife, everyone thought Superman was the worst, like of like,
Really?
yeah, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Superman. I'm the only person that I know like in real life that thought Superman was the better of the three movies. Spoilers for what we think on Thunderbolts, but I thought Thunderbolts was better than Fantastic Four. I thought it was also very, very good. I would also give it a 7, but I'll get the slight edge to Superman as well.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what the internet thinks. I don't know what like IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, any of those big sites. I don't know what they say is the better one off the top of my head.
I don't know.
Thunderbolts is interesting. Thunderbolts I thought was very good as well, and it kind of feels like maybe knock on wood, Marvel's having a bit of a redemption act because I've liked a lot of the stuff that's been coming out, but I do think the overall quality has been substantially lower than like Phase 2, Phase 3. I lost complete track of the phases by the way after
Yeah,
Endgame.
Sam.
Uh, um, but I don't feel like the latest stuff has been as good as the old stuff. But there's still some really high moments here. But it feels like Thunderbolt into Fantastic Four is like a really high kind of like it feels like a notable improvement to me at least. But then Superman, like I was thinking when I was going to pick which one I liked the most out of Fantastic Four and Superman, which one would I like to rewatch the most? What do I think is like maybe the most compelling one to rewatch? And in my head, it's almost like a no-brainer, Superman, which tells me I like it more. Because there's something about a movie like if you don't know something, there's mystery, there's plot twist, like that is compelling. But if you know what's coming up and a movie's still compelling, like interesting, like that says a lot about it as well in a good way. And I feel like that's kind of where I am with Superman.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know if I like Thunderbolts more or less than either of them. That might need a bigger discussion. And I also saw it a lot longer ago, but I might say, hmm,
I do want to say no
I
pressure to say this on camera. Like you don't have to like give your thoughts on Thunderbolts. Like we're only supposed to talk about Fantastic Four and Superman. So if you don't want to, do your rating for that, that's completely okay.
no, I'm happy to. I mean, I don't see this as my one definitive rating for like the rest of my life on this.
No, but it is. It is.
Like, but I think I preferred Thunder. Oof. It's so close between all three of them, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna say I enjoyed Thunderbolts more than Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did I enjoy it more than Superman? Maybe. I'm gonna softly say yes. But I can imagine myself rewatching all three and tweaking the positions. But that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's good that we have a different opinion because the point of having guests is for them to have a different opinion, not for them to change your opinion and then and like just agree on your thoughts. Um, but yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think, and I also want to mention because you said something about the last four like Marvel's Redemption. So the last four Marvel movies, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Captain America: Brave New
It
World,
may be.
and
Okay.
and then Thunderbolts, and then Fantastic Four, right? So I
Hmm.
thought three of the four, like Brave New World aside, are like really good movies. Like this is like just like regular peak Marvel type stuff for me. So like if three out of
Hmm.
four of the last Marvel movies are like really good, like I think Marvel is good. Like
Yeah. It's tough about Brave New World because I kind of feel the same way. I like that one the least of the four by a significant amount, and it's tough because some of the action, like some of the bits there, like I really like, but the overall thing felt very flat to me. So like that's a whole different discussion on that.
yeah,
Um, well, Deadpool and Wolverine almost doesn't feel like a MCU movie because it's like Deadpool and it's Wolverine,
yeah,
which have historically been separate. Um, but I really like the current stuff, and I watched what's it called? Agatha All Along. And I was expecting to not like it. But I was hoping to like it, but I was expecting to not like it.
yeah,
I went into episode one very skeptical, episode two a little bit skeptical, and by the end of it, I was fully invested and I really liked
nice,
it. So I feel like
yeah,
hopefully the TV side of it, actually, yeah, hopefully the TV side can like keep like up to that kind of thing as well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, I have one more question from a channel member, and I think this is a good way to
Okay.
wrap up this video. So shout outs to Evo Mark for this question. He asked, would you have preferred any of the previous castings to fill any of the roles for either of these movies?
Ooh, well, I haven't watched the other Fantastic Four movies so much, so you might have to take that question if you answer in a minute. I'd be
Yeah.
curious to hear that. Um, ooh, Superman is a tough one. I actually think I like the actor for this one, but it's very different. I think maybe where I've been used to Henry for so long, and I don't know if I'm like very patriotic necessarily. Like, it depends on the day, but like he's British, right? So I think he's English. So I mean, I feel like some compulsion to say that, but I don't. I feel like they picked the right actor for this portrayal of Superman, if that makes sense. Um, did I prefer this version of Superman? It's been so long since I've watched the other one. I feel like you might have better answers for me on that. Um, so I feel like my answers feel a bit flat there, but
That's okay.
I'm gonna tentatively say no.
Okay. Yeah, for Superman, so David Cornsvet, I think that he is a great Superman. I really like him in the role. I, for different reason than you, also have a personal bias for Henry Cavill. He's one of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
actors. I think he's awesome. And I think that to
Mm-hmm.
me, like, by the way, I thought his Superman movies were very, very bad. They're under five for me. Like, I did not like those movies at all. But I liked his portrayal of the character. Okay, I don't even like his I don't even, but I don't blame it on him. I blame it on like the script and like what he was told to do. I
Mm-hmm.
like that actor as Superman. So I would actually have Henry Cavill. Like I would have preferred him. Like I wish that they just recast him. Just because I think that he and obviously the jokes with this new Superman. I don't know if Henry Cavill could have put it off. I believe in his range as an actor. I think he could have put it off. I would have liked Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like he does. I feel like I haven't seen him as much as I should, but I'm thinking of like Witcher, for example. I feel like he does like a really good like kind of like straight man, like really serious character, and other people do the jokes around him. I feel like he
Yeah.
kind of does that well. So that's an interesting point. You know what I thought was going to happen? That was going to be really crazy. I thought when Ultraman was revealed, I thought it was going to be Henry Cavill. I really genuinely, and for a moment, I thought it was in the movie, and I was like, "Is that?" And like, it wasn't. But like, I was hoping for that.
Yeah, I was also hoping for that. Like, I think that down the line we can definitely maybe not expect, but like hope to see Henry Cavill as like some version of Superman. Like whether like it's a bad guy or like like people are saying like Bizarro, like he might come back or something like that. Yeah, so maybe yeah, that'd be cool if we see him as another character in that universe fighting against. Yeah, I should really like the scene where he took off the mask and you saw
Mhm.
like it was the same Superman actor. Like, and but he looked like kind of dumb. Like I really like I was cracking up when I saw his face because like I don't know, just the way that he was acting, like his face looked dumb, and I was like, that's perfect. Like his reaction is perfect.
That's so funny.
Yeah. For the Fantastic Four castings, oh okay, so this is gonna be a little bit okay. So going into the movie, I did not like Pedro Pascal as the casting for Fantastic or for Mr. Fantastic for Reed.
Mhm.
I just didn't feel like he just didn't feel like Reed for me. Like it just felt off. Watching the movie, I am I'm pleasantly surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been by the amount of range that Pedro Pascal has as an actor. I thought he did a really good job as Reed, and I love his portrayal of Reed. I feel like that he showed like a very like cold approach. Like I'm a thinker. I'm like thinking about all this. Like it's kind of cold, but like actually I do care about everybody. I just don't show it. Like the things that I say and the things that
Mhm.
go through my head. And like I feel like he went through that struggle in that movie. He didn't change. He's still not a dynamic character that like evolved. But he had that type of like that acting, and I really like that. So I actually going through now, I still think that the other guy looks more like Reed, but I think that Pedro Pascal did a really good read for like this movie. So I would have actually kept him as Reed Richards. I think that he was a very good read. The other characters, I really like the casting. I'm biased because I really like Michael Chiklis. He was the old Thing, so I probably would have recasted him as a Thing. Yeah, I mean that's just a personal bias. And then for Johnny Storm, that's a tough one. I think that both Johnny Storms from the old movie and from this one, um, they didn't really hit for me as like what I imagine Johnny Storm to be, and obviously it's interpretation. So like it's not what it's like whatever I'm imagining. It's not supposed to be like the definitive like Johnny Storm. I think I would
Mhm.
have leaned towards Chris Evans, like the old Johnny Storm. Um,
Mhm.
this one felt I don't know. I wanted him to be more combative versus like I feel like the jokes was on him. I feel like he was the joke. And like I think there's a line where he was like, we're supposed to know that, he's like, flirting with like girls and like all this stuff. I think I feel like he didn't really do anything in the movie to show that. He didn't really show us. I think the only time that we really know that is because he told us. He said, I'm like he did something like this. It's like, I'm Johnny, I like women. I like, space. So like, so I like space women. I feel like that was the most that we got of him. Like obviously he tried to flirt with the Silver Surfer. It didn't work out. But like maybe we saw him with other people and like actually flirting, like working out. I mean that may be more to the character, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like he had to tell us, like, you guys all think I'm silly. Johnny's like a silly loser. Like I like women. I like Johnny's dumb. Like I feel like he was kind of trying to portray that. And maybe it's not the actor's fault, but yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it. I still liked him for it, I guess. I don't know if I'm contradicting myself, but I think I would slightly prefer Chris Evans, although I don't think he was like the best Johnny Storm either. Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting. So what I can compare to is the Fantastic Four in the comics. I've read some of Ryan North's stuff. I've read like the original issue. I've read like I've seen them in, the Fantastic Four pop up in a couple of comics. Like I've seen a couple of them in like an X-Men book. I've seen them in Secret Wars. Um, and I read very recent books. I think like the latest one is coming out like any day now or just come out.
Oh wow.
There's like a mini series called Fantastic Four Fanfare, and it's not like a big epic story. It's just like showing little extracts from their lives in quite like funny ways. And all of these things combined, I feel like the Fantastic Four I saw in the movie didn't perfectly line up with any of them. But I think maybe Invisible Woman Sue Storm was like the closest. But I feel like the Thing has like he's got like this really heavy accent like in the comics, and he's like a bit more. He's not reluctant to say the line. He says the line, and he fulfills what the line says
Yeah.
very frequently. Um, Johnny seems to be a lot more like louder, more brash, like even more outgoing, like in the comics. Like he's probably the one that seems the most different to me, from the movie. Um, it's not exactly the same, but I almost feel like Star Lord in the movie is more like what Human Torch has been in the comics that I've read.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like Reed is a little bit different, but overall, like the whole thing like works really well. And I did like Pedro Pascal's his take on the character. So that's kind of my comic book interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I can't really speak on the comic book stuff. I've read like the like very very early like the literally like the first issues of like Fantastic Four. So
Oh,
so like that's like with like moment like that's like I mean it's evolved obviously, and I think that there's so many different like even across different comics like the characters will seem a little bit different because like different
yeah.
writers and all that. So it's hard to say, but yeah, I mean it's interesting that because I didn't know what Human Torch was like right now. So it's interesting for you to say that he's actually different right now than this current version, because kind of thought that the Human Torch would be more of like the modern one from the comics right now, but I guess you're confirmed that he's not.
Well, I'm not like a comic expert. I've only recently, like the last few months, really started reading them. But if anyone wants to check it out, Fantastic Four fanfare, like the first issue, like any of the issues, to be honest, all you need is like a rough understanding of like where the powers came from, etc. And I feel like most of it will just make sense and it's like kind of fun. They're really funny, really fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, Johnny's kind of just a lot more Johnny, is any way I can say it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and then Evo also has the second part of his question. I think we can kind of end on this because I think this is a fun thing to end on. Which was your favorite characters from each of the movies?
Ooh, well, I already gave away one of mine from Superman, which was Mr. Terrific. I loved Mr. Terrific. I did like the new Superman. I did like Lois. I know you mentioned her. I really actually quite like Lex. Surprisingly, I wasn't sure quite what to expect. But for Superman, I will stick with Mr. Terrific. In the Fantastic Four, this maybe again speaks to me preferring the Superman movie. But I feel like I've got several contenders, and I feel like in Fantastic Four it's really hard for me. So I feel like maybe none of them resonated with me quite as much. I don't know. I might still go with Human Torch though, despite what I said. Like, I guess this is a different interpretation, but I think I will go for Human Torch for Johnny.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting. For Fantastic Four, it's tough. It's definitely not the Thing, just because he didn't really. I feel like for me, it's between Pedro Pascal and the other two. I think Reed. Reed is yeah. I'll say Reed. I think that Sue is really good. Reed is really good. I think just because I had low expectations for Reed because I was thinking that I didn't like the casting and that like he's shocked by how good the casting was. I think that that's like my it factor for that. For the Superman movie, I liked Superman a lot. I liked Guy Gardner a lot. And I like Lois. I might give it to Lois. I think Lois because like once again, it's like the expectation of like okay, damsel in distress. Like Superman's gonna have to protect her the whole entire thing, and like she seems more capable than Superman himself. Like she seemed like very like there in the head. Like she was very smart. Superman was like all emotion. She was like collected. Like I don't know. I feel like that she was very cool. Yeah. So I think she's my favorite. There.
Yeah, I like what you said. That I feel like that Superman in that movie was very like idealistic, maybe a bit naive, and she was very like worldly and like down to earth, like grounded.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting contrast. I don't know if it's like that in the comics. I have a Superman miniseries on my shelf here to read. I've got I think it's called Superman for All Seasons. It's like a kind of modern retelling of like early Superman. So I'm curious to read that when I get to it. I think when looking at the Fantastic Four, I agree that like unfortunately I like the Thing in this, but I think the other three were like there wasn't a lot in it for me between them. I realized for Mr. Terrific, sorry, got them mixed up. The names Mr. Fantastic and Mr. Terrific, very similar names. But Mr. Terrific, I felt like I really liked his attitude. It felt very fresh in a superhero movie because I felt like he was very like ultra practical and like very like kind of maybe down to earth is the right way, but like just very, very practical. It doesn't take nonsense.
Yeah.
And I thought the style was kind of fun, like throughout the fights and stuff. Like the scene where he attacks like I don't know, like the army base, like to get to like the portal thing. I really like that whole thing as well.
Oh yeah, the scene with the balls, like that was so cool. Yeah. I mean, he might have had the coolest fight scene there. That was very, very cool. Yeah, and I do like. I mean, he was like the most reliable character. I do feel like he was the one facilitating and like helping Lois, get down to all this. And like, I mean, without him, you could argue that without Guy Gardner or like Hawkgirl, like they weren't that necessary. But like Mr. River was like essential to the plot. Like he like really came through and saved the day. Being able to like close the portal, being able to like do the like computer hacking stuff and all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely see him being a cool character too. I just don't really know. Like I didn't know I don't know anything about that character before going into the movie. So I had no expectations or anything. So I was just like, oh, this is a cool character. Lois, I think because I had like maybe a negative type of like thing with her. Like of like, oh, she's always need to be safe. She's like a liability. And like seeing like her like do that, I think was like, okay, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
All right. Do you have any ending thoughts for these two movies? Do you have anything else that you want to add to them?
I feel like this has been very thorough, probably longer than you expected by a lot. I don't think I've got much to add. Surprisingly, Superman really, really compelling.
Yeah.
But I did like Fantastic Four a lot.
Yeah. So overall, to sum up, we both liked both movies a lot. Villain Theory heading into this liked Fantastic Four a little bit more than Superman, but now they're both 7 out of 10 for him, and he's edging it for Superman a little bit, slight edge. For me, I also like Superman more. Superman's a 7 out of 10 for me. Fantastic Four is 6.5, like just under, because the little parts of it, I was like, man, I'm a little bit bored. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this different type of video. Let me know down in comments. Do you guys watch, all these movies like the Superman movie? I know most of us here are maybe more Marvel fans. But actually, I know a lot of Marvel fans players love DC. Yeah.
One quick thing I do want to mention, actually, this isn't a criticism; it's an observation. The Superman movie felt like a Marvel movie with DC characters.
Oh man, that's a really good point. Okay, so I actually went to. Oh man, okay, this is gonna prolong it a little bit, a little bit. So huge shout outs to my friend HD. So she's like my best friend's wife, and then we're like in a group chat, and then after like we all watched the movies, she said something really funny to me. I guess she was like, "I didn't like the Superman movie because it felt like a Marvel movie." And like it just didn't feel like what DC should be. Like she was like DC, from what I know, it's like Henry Cavill is like the DCEU. It should be like dark and like brooding and more gloomy. And then I told her, no, that's like only Zack Snyder's like DC. Like the normal DC universe isn't like that. It's similar to Marvel. It's like wonky. There's like all this like crazy stuff. Basically, like the DCEU is not like what DC is. I guess like that vibe. It's like
Mm-hmm.
their interpretation of it, which is fine. But I think that a lot of people that have only seen that like think that that's what DC should be, I guess, like that more brooding type of vibe. But yeah, I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
not like that. And she's like, oh, okay, never mind. Then it's fine then. But she still likes Fantastic Four more. Everyone likes Fantastic Four more, unfortunately. But
That's good.
yeah, I like the Marvel vibe. I like MCU, which is why because Superman was like that. I really like the movie. Like I like that, like the comedy, the like wonkiness, all that stuff.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I'm glad I mentioned that then. Yeah, it's interesting with like the DC having like a reputation for being dark. I think Deadpool makes like a joke about that in one of his movies.
Mm,
Like you go back to the old Superman movies, and then like they're not like that. I like the old Batman movies. Like Batman's obviously always a bit grittier than Superman, but some of those movies are kind of like cheesy or a bit like they don't always have to have the dark tone to show a side of those characters.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, just kind of an observation that sprang to mind.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was a good ending note there. Let us know down in comments. Do you guys agree with our thoughts? Are we nitpicking? Like, do we say we like this movie, but like this is just all complaints? Like, just fill this video with like tons of complaints. And yeah, what do you guys think of these movies? Because hopefully everyone watched them. And hopefully we didn't spoil anything for anyone. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoy this one. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Thank you, Villain Theory, for coming on.
Bye.